This video is going to explain one of the most common errors that we see on logs and notifications that you'll receive for the log audits, and that is the unassigned movement. This essentially is when you have driven the vehicle, one of the commercial vehicles, one of our buses, without having been logged in. This could either occur at a driver change if the engine was left running and you forgot to log in as the new driver, or it could most likely occur if you went off duty on a break somewhere, but again you left the engine idle, and so you have been logged out of the device, you jump back into the seat, you forget to log back in, you start down the road. After a mile, the system is going to beep at you and it's going to say unassigned driver or unknown driver, something like that, at which time you need to stop as early as convenient and then sign in to the vehicle and then continue on your way so that your log is being accurately reflected. But between those two times, from when you started driving when you weren't logged in until you did log in, is unassigned movement, time and mileage. So it's essentially driving time that was missed on your log because you weren't signed in. So you need to add it back to your log. So in this case, this is a trip that I drove in June down to Pittsburgh for the day and then back. And what I did is I left Pittsburgh here, you can see around 4 p.m. and started back home. But I didn't actually sign into the vehicle to start driving until 16:08. So I drove from 16:01. I actually left at 16:01, started driving at 16:01. So between 16:01 and 16:08 was unassigned movement time for 7 minutes, and I went 2 miles. So I would get that log audit report that says, hey, you went from point A to point B for those 7 minutes and 2 miles. So how do I make that correction? Well, the easiest thing to do is to take the cursor up here on the driving line, and at about that 16:01, if not exactly, to choose driving. So actually I can't get quite 16:01, but I'm going to say 1600. So I'm going to add driving time. You can always add driving time, you just can't subtract it. So what does that do by clicking up there? It's going to create a new line down here, and it's going to go to the very bottom of the list until it's updated of 1600 Pittsburgh, PA driving. So I said you don't have to be exact on the time because you can click on the time here now and make it exact. So it was 1601, not 1600. So I started driving at that time there. You don't need to add any comments. You could if you like, but it's really no big deal. So what you'll see then is, like anything else, when you've made the change, you want to be sure to save so that it is not lost. So I'm going to save for the reason modified. In this case, I'm going to say driver error because I screwed up, and I'm going to say forgot to log in and then save. Now when you save, what you'll see is that the system will reorder that in time order, chronological order. So that 1601 line that I just built is right here. So now you see this was my previous 1608 starting time when I actually remembered to log in, but now I have that driving time starting at 1601 until 1608. So I've accounted for those missing 7 minutes. Now what I haven't accounted for yet is the missing 2 miles that I drove. So what you want to do down here in the assets section below all the comments, I was in asset number 1, vehicle number 1, and I went 2 miles in those 7 minutes. So the override, what I want to do is click in this box, and I want to make it 332. So the vehicle recorded 330 miles for me, but it missed 2 miles when I wasn't logged in. So I want to make it a total of 332. You want this to be the total number. And you can see here that is what becomes your today miles. So that's what they're looking at for total miles during the day. Now again, because I've made a change, I want to save that. Now, asset information changes as mileage changes don't require the pop-up box for acknowledgement, so you can easily just make that addition and save. So now I have the 332 total real miles here. That is the easiest way to add the unassigned movement when you have forgotten to log in, when you receive that report from the log audit.